SmartB Sports Update Podcast is brought to you by Optimum CBD. For all your rest and recovery needs, CBD products are your best bet. Go to OptimumCBD.store to order now. Free delivery on all orders over $99. You must be over 18 to order. I use Optimum CBD products personally for my rest and recovery. I train 6 days a week in Jiu-Jitsu, as you've probably heard on the SmartB Sports Update Podcast. I teach, I train, I compete. And without Optimum CBD products, I wouldn't be able to do it. Optimum CBD for all your rest and recovery needs.
Good morning, Phil Gould. Can you answer me some questions about Lachlan Galvin? Just any. Is he injured?
Oh dear. But you get more out of me than you will out of Phil Gould, that's for sure.
Is he injured? He's waiting for scans, right?
There was some sort of display on 100% Footy the other night. Very childish, very petulant yet again from Phil Gould. I don't know why Channel 9 aren't calling him into the office saying, why aren't you doing your job properly? We've got professionals like Emma Lawrence and Michael Chamas asking questions, and you're just not answering them. We're paying you a lucrative salary, and you're not doing your job. Your job is to answer the questions. And part of the reason why they're paying him that salary is because, well, he is the Bulldogs general manager, and that means he's going to be privy to inside information that others aren't privy to. But that's part of the reason they're paying him the big bucks.
Yeah.
So he can't just dead bat these questions away.
I think they need to stop hiring people who are involved in the game as regular. All of these shows need to stop hiring people who are involved in the game in other capacities as regular panellists. Like, you had Braithen Astor the other day having to reveal basically inside information about Lachlan Ilias, and the only reason they got that information is because Braithen Astor is his manager, and I don't know if Lachlan Ilias cares, but that's the kind of thing that leads to it where there's if Braithen Astor was in a situation where if he was damned if he did and damned if he didn't, and Phil Gould, he's the same. There's a difference though, because Phil Gould acts like a petulant little kid about being asked it, where Braithen Astor just took it on head on, Yeah,
Braithen Astor answers it like an adult.
Yes.
Phil Gould answers it like he's a child.
I feel bad for Braithen Astor because he had to answer it. He's put himself in that situation. But Phil Gould, I don't feel bad for because he doesn't answer the questions. But in reality, none of them should just be on there, I guess, because it's unfair on Braithen Astor or anyone in that kind of situation having to be, only for the regular panellists, right? You have player manager Isaac Moses on NRL 100% Footy to answer questions about his players as a guest. But if he was there as a panellist, he would feel like it would be a little bit like I said, rock on a hard place to have to answer questions when he's there to give football analysis. And then because he has that direct link to something in the game, he has some inside information that he may not want to reveal, but gets pressured on national television. Anyone like that. So, Phil Gould, if he's involved in the Bulldogs, he just shouldn't be on the panel. Because you're there, so you're going to get asked about it. If you don't want to answer it, don't be on the panel. And having him there from the perspective of it's Channel 9, right?
Yeah.
Channel 9,
Footy, yeah.
They should make that decision. Dude, we're just not going to hire these people anymore.
Yeah, well, he's on huge money, and if he's not going to answer questions properly, well, they're not getting value for money out of it. That's what I don't understand. We're in a real cost-cutting world, especially in the media at the moment. If you want to cut costs, well, you can cut someone who's on nearly $1 million a year who won't answer questions when he's on a TV show.
Well, that's the thing, right? So he has every right to basically say, I'm not going to answer that question because I'm here as a panelist to analyse the game and discuss things in the game. I don't want to give you any inside information. I'm not here as the Bulldogs general. What is he? General manager.
Bulldogs general manager of football.
Right? He has every right to say that. Channel 9 wouldn't like it. Okay? Then he would have that issue where everyone would say, if he answered it like a mature adult, and then, everyone would have that issue. Why is he on there then? Well, exactly.
And then Channel 9 could go, well, if you're not going to give us this inside information, well, maybe we might think twice about continuing to employ you.
And then his other option, which is another one of his options, which is the one he took, is to behave like an absolute child and just be grumpy. And then Channel 9 is again well, why do we have you here? There's no win really in the end for these people. when it has that link. Like I said, Braithen Astor handled that kind of stuff way better. But I feel sorry for Braithen Astor and Lachlan Ilias. Because,
but, I mean, at least Braithen Astor actually said, and you know, he was put in a difficult position, and Astor, and you can understand it, but he said, he was just honest. He said, look, you know, Lachlan Ilias is struggling at the moment. He's trying to keep his head up. I know the Dragons had that win on the weekend against the Raiders, but, you know, it doesn't change their overall position. It was a good win.
Can't find against Dodd, bro.
They broke Canberra's winning streak, 9-game winning streak, but, you know, it doesn't change the overall picture. But anyway, that's a separate issue. It's more, and Astor was honest, and he said, you know, Ilias is struggling. Because obviously it's hard to be optimistic when you know the coach is just picking his son at halfback because he's his son and you're behind him. But yeah, at least Astor gave that insight. Yeah. But Phil Gould, he didn't give any insights. I can run you through the quotes. Michael Chamis asked him if there was anything to worry about with these scans. Galvin's had scans on a hand and an ankle injury, 2 separate injuries. He's in some doubt to play this week. He might play, might not play, but we'll get to that a little bit later. So Chamis asked him, is there anything to worry about? And Gould responded, they don't send you for scans unless you've got something to worry about. Oh, that's a very nice reply, that one. He says, so we'll see what happens. I'm not the doctor, I don't read the scans. That was one smart-ass quote from Phil Gould. And then Paul Gallen asked him, well, what injuries does he have? And then he sheepishly replied, ankle and hand, I think, as if he didn't really know.
Yeah.
And then when Emma Lawrence, the host, asked if he'd suffered the injury during the game, Gould responded, he didn't pick it up carrying his bag to the game, Emma. So, if to, you know, another smart-ass response, just like the one with Channel 9.
This is the thing, right? I feel bad for Channel 9 and the co-hosts. In the Braithen Astor situation, I feel bad for Braithen Astor. In this, I feel bad for Channel 9 and the co-hosts. And that's why I just think they shouldn't... The NRL shouldn't let them have public media things if they're going to be involved in the game like that. Because
these people, the Emma Lawrence and Michael Chamis, they're professionals who are good at their job. They've got to the top of a very competitive industry. They deserve more respect than being spoken to in this way by Phil Gould. And I find it's really awkward watching that show because Phil Gould's always giving these sorts of responses, and the only way the other people on the show can sort of handle these responses is by sort of laughing like it's one big joke. But Phil Gould's not joking. It's not a joke to him. And so it's this really awkward dynamic where he gets upset about something, has a hissy fit about something, and then everyone else is sort of giggling like it's a joke because they're all too scared to take him on because of how powerful he is.
It's the awkward giggle you give when you don't know if they're serious.
Yeah, 100%.
That's why I feel real sorry for all the co-hosts in Channel 9. Should never feel sorry for Channel 9. You should never feel sorry for a media conglomerate. No. But I do, because they've invested all this money and he's just making bad television.
But I mean, they could do something about it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. And they should. And that stuff, like those shows are there to promote the game and get people to the game and get people interested in the game. You know, like in the end, Channel 9 is paying money for rugby league so they can, and paying money to those stars and running their shows so they can get people to watch Channel 9 football. And Phil Gould, acting the petulant child, doesn't do that. He's not doing his job. He's supposed, like, I know so many, it's anecdotal. I have no actual facts about it or anything like that. Anecdotal. I know so many people who don't watch Channel 9 because of Phil Gould. Now, he's the new one, you know, that people don't watch Channel 9 for and they just watch KO instead. And if the guy you're paying a lot of money is behaving like that and not getting people, making people, putting people offside so they don't want to watch your games, well, then you need to do something about it.
This is an arrogant display. This is him saying, you're beneath me, I don't need to give you a proper answer here. It's such an arrogant display. It's so typical of Phil Gould. And as a Bulldogs supporter, I'm really getting sick of this stuff. He's the general manager of football at my club. He's paid huge money for that job as well. if he's on a TV show as well and he's being asked questions about Lachlan Galvin's fitness and these injuries, I want him to give an honest answer. I want all the information. I don't want him dead batting the question away like that in such a petulant way.
Like, there's just no reason to either. You know? There's really no reason to behave like that.
No, well, it's become more of an issue, him chucking a hissy fit like he did, than it would have been if he had just answered the questions properly.
Like, it's just, there's no reason to behave like that. There's no reason not to answer, actually.
They're so scared of him. The way they talk to him, it's cringeworthy. They're like, I don't know, they're like, they giggle like school children around him because they're so scared to take him on. It's like they think that if they take him on that they're going to lose their job. The only one who's ever taken him on was Chamis, and that was earlier this year.
And well, he also got dropped one week, remember? So...
Yeah, and mind you, I have a feeling...
It wasn't because of that, but he got dropped one week.
But I have a feeling that, you know, I bet you Phil Gould spoke to someone about that.
Oh, yeah.
I bet you he tried to throw his weight around on that.
Well, you'd have to think so.
Amazingly, Chamis still has a job there.
He doesn't push as much anymore, right? So...
He might have been warned off him. Yeah, he might have been warned off
Conspiracy theories, bro. Let's put that up on TikTok. If he's going to be on the show, he's got to answer questions. Otherwise, don't be on the show. And like I said, if I was Channel 9 or the NRL, I'd just stop them all being on the shows. Because it doesn't promote the game as well. Like, that's what it doesn't make people want to watch the game.
Surely he's not worth the nearly $1 million a year that he's on. I mean...
They could pay me $1 million a year. I'll do it for $500,000. This is like when they were saying it was going to cost $15 million to change the flag on the Harbour Bridge. I was like, bro, I'll do it for $5 million. I don't know how I do it, but I'll just do it. I'll work it out for $5 million. Do it myself. You don't even have to pay me $1 million to go appear on the television show. I'll appear on for $500,000.
I can't watch that show.
No, I don't watch anything on Channel 9.
That 100% footy is just a whole bunch of people scared to take Phil Gould on in between Phil Gould hissy fits.
We don't watch Channel 9.
That's the whole show.
The only time we watch Channel 9 is because we had to watch it for Origin and we're going to have to for the grand final. So
yeah, and we boycotted after they caved into Isaac Moses anyway. So
I'm just going to watch the grand final on Channel 9.
And they sidelined a journalist just to keep a player manager happy. Channel 9 boycott continues, though.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Speaking of journalists,
yes,
James Hooper was in the news this week because he has been sacked, the majority of people would say fairly, by Fox Sports after being, what did you say, 5 times over the limit?
Yeah, 5 times over the legal limit. Crashed his ute into 3 parked cars. And he's lost his job, so I find this to be very sad that somebody has just, in a moment of madness, has just thrown their career away here.
He'll join Kenty on his podcast.
That's the thing. I think it'll be. He'll sit on the sidelines for 12 months. He'll probably have to have next season off, I would say. I don't think he could come back as quickly as next season, but maybe the season after he'll be on the podcasts.
Yeah.
But, not smart.
No.
He's 47 years old. He's got a wife and kids. This is not what you want to be telling your wife and kids, that you've lost your job in this fashion.
We were talking about off camera. I thought older people didn't do that stuff. You know, that's a young man's thing, like drinking too much and jumping into the car. Nobody should drink and drive ever. But I just thought it was like, he's 47 years old. Like, you don't do that stuff when you're 40. It's 2025, right? Yeah. I'm 45. I will admit, when I was younger, I may have done that stupid thing, and now I just think I'm so disappointed in myself when I was young doing that. As a 45-year-old, I don't drink and drive ever. You know, it's just not a thing that older people do.
If a 17-year-old P player did it, you go, all right.
Well, he's an idiot, but he's 17.
But yeah. I mean, it's not smart even for 17-year-olds, but you'd understand it a bit more. But for a 47-year-old?
Yeah, responsible journalist with a family, adult, you just think like it's such a... Makes me wonder how many 47-year-olds are out there driving while drunk, to be honest. But it was terrible footage. There was footage of it. It's terrible, like just... It's the kind of thing you see, and it's in the news because he's a rugby league journalist, and it's very typical rugby league. It's the kind of thing you see rugby league players do because they're all young and foolish, not well-respected journalists. Sacked, gone from Fox Sports. I'm sure he'll jump on the podcast soon.
Yeah, I mean, the upside for him is, and thankfully nobody got hurt.
Yes.
That's the upside. And that's where I think, there will be a comeback at some stage. He'll be sidelined for a period of time. We're getting towards the end of this season, so he won't be back this season. Would he be back next season? Maybe not next season, maybe the season after. He might have to sit a season out, I think. And maybe the season after he'll be on the podcast. That'd be my guess at this stage.
Guys like James Hooper's on TV, right? Like a lot of the times. I know he also writes columns. I think what's likely to happen is after a few months, you'll probably see a column slid in somewhere as like a freelance. Maybe on The Raw. You know what The Raw is?
Maybe. Yeah.
Like that kind of thing where it has like random submission people who get paid per click. But then he'll definitely just be on the podcast or something.
With Kenty.
Yeah. Maybe he'll just do a podcast. He'll just join Kenty's podcast.
Yeah, he might. I'm sure Kenty will have him. So, but I think that'll happen.
Yeah, probably next. It's
I
so late in the year.
Might be a bit soon. Yeah. I think the year after he'll be on the.
But you'll never live it down, Like I know a bunch of people who went and took photos with Kenty's tree.
Yeah.
He'll never live it down. But it's just the damage to the reputation of the news organisation that hires him that they have to manage. So they have to be the ones waiting long enough.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. He's not going to get back at Fox. No. They won't have him back. No. I don't think Channel 9 would hire him after this.
No, not for
so he's going to have to be this sort of fringe.
Yeah.
Podcast, the Raw type operator now. So it is going to cost him. Well, it's cost him standing in his career. It'll cost him income.
There's some shocking footage in it.
It's just not. It's just
so munted.
It's a lesson for people. Just don't. If you have that much to drink, just don't get behind the wheel. Yeah, just get in a cab or get an Uber.
Ubers and Didi and even just sign up for whichever gig economy taxi type, Uber type app that you haven't used and get 50% off. Because they normally give like 50% off your first trip or one free trip when you sign up. And there's so many of them now. Just jump on all of them for the first time.
Yeah, he would have been on good money for a while. I'm sure he can afford an Uber home.
Yeah.
Well, the Uber home would have cost him a lot less than what driving has cost him.
Exactly.
Driving home has cost him on this.
Call your wife and ask her to come pick you up. If you're out, if you're that drunk, you're probably out with people. I hope he's not sitting in a pub by himself drinking. But if he's that drunk and you're out with people, surely there's somebody there that you can jump in an Uber with or something, There's always...
And I'd say look, somebody should have told him, but he's 47.
Yeah.
He's got to make that decision for himself.
Exactly.
When you're 47, you can't be blaming other people. You got to take responsibility for your own actions.
Yeah. We'll see James Hooper in the next year or two.
He's going to face court in September too. I'm sure the media will be all over that.
The next thing is the big story of the weekend. Penrith Panthers trainer runs in front of Titans player about to kick a ball.
Yes.
When I watched it, I was like I was actually like infuriated by it. Like there's all this stuff like Ivan Cleary's response. I didn't even see it. Bullshit. He definitely saw it. I was entirely unintentional. It didn't even look unintentional. He ran, and as he's running, it does like a little jink as well. Yeah. And they try to justify it by saying it's because there was a mix-up with the interchanges and the wrong person was coming off the field and he was trying to run and give them a message and all this other nonsense. But they have form, the Penrith Panther trainers in particular, and in that game, you can find the footage now, in that last set where Nathan Cleary kicks the field goal,
2-point field goal. So
the trainer stays on the field in the line of attack for the whole set.
Yeah, and the rules are that blue shirt trainer has to be off by the fourth tackle.
Yeah, he was there for the whole
set.
Pointing players, leading where they should be, telling Nathan Cleary to come back and kick the 2-point field goal. So I have no doubt in my mind, no matter how much they want to deny it, that it was entirely intentional.
I don't think enough has been made here of the actual game situation, and I guess the game situation, and the impact that this had on the game situation itself. Now let's give this some context. The Titans were up 26-24 at the time. Jaden Campbell's lining up a shot at goal from the sideline. And this trainer, Corey Bocking, his name has run in front of Jaden Campbell. Now, and obviously it's put him off. Of course it would put him off. Then he's had the shot and he's missed. So let's say that he doesn't run in front of him. Campbell would have had been a much better chance of kicking that goal. If Campbell kicks that goal, the Titans are up 28-24. And Nathan Cleary can't kick his 2-point field goal to level the game and send it to Golden Point. But as it turns out, Campbell misses the goal, obviously put off by this ridiculous behaviour by the trainer. And then Nathan Cleary kicks a 2-point field goal, sends it to Golden Point, and then Penrith winning Golden Point. Now, this has had in my opinion, this has had a significant bearing on the result, this incident.
Well, they
I think this punishment is far too light.
Like they fined the Panthers $50,000 and suspended the guy for 5 weeks.
Yeah, so let's unpack that. So $50,000 fine for Penrith, that means nothing. They have the financial backing of a very wealthy leagues club. That $50,000 is pocket money to them.
Yeah.
So that's a meaningless punishment. It looks big, but it's nothing. The trainer's copped a 5-game ban. He's still going to get paid. He'll get paid. So it's a 5-week holiday for this guy, and he's already getting sympathy from people. Ivan Cleary came out yesterday and said, he's really struggling. He feels so bad about it. And so now he's getting sympathy, and people are going, I hope you're okay. The whole sympathy card nonsense. If you want sympathy, well, don't do it in the first place.
Is his 5-week ban just from participating in the games as well? Because he'll still be at work, right? He'll still have to, or is he banned from?
Oh yeah, well, he can't be a trainer in the games.
So it has to
still be at work.
They just have another guy filling in. It's nothing.
Yeah, they've done nothing punishment.
And it should
big, but it's nothing.
Just have form, and seriously the trainer running around while Nathan Cleary is lining up that field goal. That should be. They should have their points stripped.
Yes, they should have had the 2 points taken off.
First of all, Jaden Campbell should have been moved in front of the goals. It should have actually been like a penalty.
Yeah.
So he gets that
kick.
Should have
been you get that kick and then you get another one.
And then
and if Penrith go on and win somehow from that position, we're taking your 2 points
100%.
off.
It should have just been, all right, you get that kick.
Yeah.
All right, you've missed it. Doesn't matter because the penalty's been blown. Ball's going in the front, or you get both. You hit both, whatever. So they would have been either 4 or 6 points up. But then, if Penrith did come back, especially if you're going to give him a penalty for that kick, for that running in front, all right, I could see a justification for not stripping 2 points if Penrith go away and win it. Okay, I could see the justification. So I'd be like, he interfered, so you get a penalty, you get an extra kick. Oh, and then Penrith go ahead and win. We're not going to do anything else, but we're going to give $50,000 fine in 5 weeks because we already gave them the 2 extra points, and they still managed to.
Yeah, but the fact is they didn't give him that extra.
I know.
Shot. Yeah.
But compound that with the fact that they had other circumstances in the game. You don't know how many other circumstances in the game, but at least one on the match-tying play where the Penrith Panthers had basically an extra player in their attacking line. 2 points stripped. Because it's multiple occurrences in the same game in which a trainer has interfered with the outcome of the game. 2 points gone.
And there were 6 instances going back to 2021 where Panthers trainers have committed on-field indiscretions. And they've said that, part of this, which they've called a harsh punishment, which isn't really a harsh punishment, but they've said that part of this punishment is, they're factoring in the 6 previous incidents as well. But, you have to come down hard on these sorts of things, take the 2 points off. These punishments have to act as a deterrent. If you take the 2 points off, nobody's ever doing that again.
Trainer will.
Never. But $50,000 is nothing for Penrith.
You think
nothing.
They didn't really do anything in the game, right? But the way I figured it is, if it had been a player, it would have been a penalty and probably a sin binning or a send-off. Just a Penrith player just running up the field for no apparent reason, right? It would have been a penalty and a send-off for a sin binning. professional foul, interfering with the kicker. You're not allowed to do that. But it's just a random guy, trainer, so it's not. They did nothing. And again, I'm bloody 100% footy. They had Nico Hines on as a guest, and Phil Gould was saying, Nico Hines didn't say it, but Phil Gould said, I asked Nico Hines in the back whether he would have cared, and he said, I would have just lined it up and kicked it again. Bullcrap. I don't know who's telling bullcrap there, whether it's Phil Gould or Nico Hines, but bullcrap. If that had happened to Nico Hines, he definitely would have been blowing up. Every player, every team, every coach would blow up about that. It's just nonsense to say that, I would just line it up and kick it again. Nonsense. It was so ridiculous. The guy was so clearly doing it on purpose.
Yeah, and that's the thing. For people who think that it was a big accident, why did it happen at such a crucial time? Why didn't it happen when it was 4-0 or 4-all?
Why has it never happened before?
Yeah, it's never happened before. And it also happened at a crucial point in the game. So why, if you think it was an accident, why does it happen when it's 26-24 and there's only 5 minutes left in the game?
There was
why didn't it happen earlier in the game if it's an accident?
There was so much that went into it as well, right? Because the Bulldogs and the Warriors had already played and lost. Okay, so they were beaten by the Dolphins. And
that was on Saturday, that game.
The Panthers are just behind the Warriors. They were 3 points behind or whatever, right? And so it was even more crucial when you think about it.
Yeah.
Because then they were only 1 point behind if they won that game. So it wasn't just crucial in the game. It's crucial to how they end up, where they finish on the ladder. So they're now 1 point behind the Warriors.
Yeah, so this is a real race now for the top four.
Yeah.
The race is on here. Warriors are on 30 points. Panthers are 29. Warriors 4th. Panthers 5th. The Warriors are in real danger here of giving up that 4th spot to Penrith.
And if they hadn't have got that nonsense and managed to pull off the win based on that nonsense, they would still be 3 points behind.
Yeah.
That's right. They would be 27.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, the Warriors
be,
wouldn't have been happy about what happened.
They would actually be 7th as well, the Panthers. So
the Broncos and the Sharks would be in front of them. Yeah.
It's so much.
It's huge because for Penrith, the position Penrith were in before this long winning streak, they needed everything to go right to make the top 4, and everything is going right now, including their trainer distracting.
It was so much.
It
wasn't just. That's what I mean. That's why I absolutely firmly believe the 2 points should have been stripped, because it wasn't just the effect on that game. It actually is affecting the top 8.
Yeah.
Results.
This could have huge ramifications. Even the Bulldogs. I mean, they've dropped this game against the Tigers out of nowhere. If they continue to show shaky form, who knows? Penrith might even catch them before the end of the season. Whereas if Penrith hadn't have won that game, they wouldn't have caught the Bulldogs.
They would be 7th, and now they're 1 point out of the top 4. So it is I think 2 points should be stripped, but no matter, as soon as I saw it, I thought 2 points should be stripped. Okay? Straight up. No way. It doesn't matter. And during the game, I was like, they should strip. If Panthers win this,
strip
2 points. Fully. And then, while the game progressed, I was like, well, he should have gotten a penalty. And like I said, if they had given him the penalty to kick again, I could understand their justification for not stripping the 2 points, but compound that with their just continual cheating. I can't understand their justification for not stripping 2 points now. Yeah, I can't accept it.
If you strip the 2 points, it never happens again. Yeah. Nobody is ever doing it again if it's going to cost them 2 points.
Yeah, 100%.
$50,000, and the trainer being suspended for 5 games when he's going to get paid anyway. That is no deterrent for clubs doing this again. If you take the 2 points off, this never happens again.
Yeah, there's not a single club in the game that cares about that $50,000.
No, not even the struggling clubs.
No, exactly. So it's
let alone a club like Penrith, who their leagues club has a bottomless pit of money.
Yeah, exactly. Meanwhile, over at the Rabbitohs.
Yeah.
Well, the Lewis Dodd weirdness has finally come to an end close to an end. Chapter, what's it? It's at the penultimate chapter. Wayne Bennett's told him, out you go, mate. You're no longer wanted. You're free to go to other clubs, whether it's local or Super League. Basically said, you're done. We're not finishing you up. And then the Rabbitohs are, what I heard this morning, are willing to pay up to $500,000 of his salary for next year.
Well, so
only for 1 year, not for the rest of his thing. Like what happened with James Graham when he was at the Dragons for a rumoured $100,000 for the entire length of his contract, and the Bulldogs were paying the rest when James Graham went to the Bulldogs.
So would they be hoping that there's a deal done with somebody where we'll cover 500 for 1 year, but you got to cover it after that?
Yeah, well, he will be gone no matter what at the end of this year, right? And so what they've given him permission to do, basically, this is what I heard this morning, is...
if he finds a club, he might not find a club.
No, even if he doesn't find another club, they won't be... They want to get rid of him. They'll just pay him out.
Do nothing.
Yeah, they'll pay him out. They'll give him the $1 million and say, like, go on.
$650,000 a year for the next 2 years after this one. It was a 3-year deal.
They want to buy someone else. They don't want his money in the salary cap, right? So they're going to find a way to get rid. So if he does go to another club, they're willing to fork $500,000 of that payment for the first year. And so some club could sign him for a year and get him for like $100,000.
Yeah, well, minimum wage I think is about $130,000. If you sign him, sign him for that, he's on $650,000. So the Rabbitohs would cover $520,000. But that's the thing. This contract is next year and the year after. It finishes at the end of 2027. So they're going to have to do it for the year after as well, because he's contracted until the end of 2027.
That was the whole thing about James Graham when he went to the Dragons. That was so funny. That was the rumour at the time and the talk at the time. You never know how much truth is to it, right? But the rumour at the time was because he was at the Dragons for 2 or 3 years.
Graham, 2 or 3 off the top of my head. I have to check that.
Yeah. Was it Dragons for 2018, 2019, 2020, so 3 years. Yeah. The rumour at the time was the Dragons were only paying $100,000 for him. For that 3 years, the Bulldogs were paying the rest of his...
Yeah, you don't want to get into a situation as a club where you're paying players to play for other clubs. It's not great, but I would have thought their best... option here, or their best hope here, South, would be for a Super League club to take him and hopefully pay more than, $130,000 or whatever. Maybe a Super League club could pay $300,000 for him, and then South should only be paying $350,000 a year. I bet that's more what they're hoping here, because I don't think any NRL club are going to sign him for anything over the minimum wage.
Oh, no.
So I think they've got to hope that a Super League club comes in and offers more money.
Nobody knows if he's any good.
Well, the thing is, he has pedigree in the Super League. He's won a Super League title. He's won a World Club Challenge title. He kicked the winning field goal to win a World Club Challenge over the Panthers. So that resume he has in the English game, I would have thought he'd get a contract with a Super League club, and I think surely that's what Souths are hoping here. Super League club picks him up, pays him. I don't think the money in the Super League is as good as it used to be.
Nowhere near.
No. So maybe they'd hope some Super League club would pay like $300,000 or $350,000 for him, and South would cover the other half of the contract.
The Super League is on death's door.
They're not getting the $800,000 they used to get to go over there.
They want the NRL to buy him to fix it.
But yeah, unbelievable. So he's only played 6 NRL games in 2025. He's only played 68 minutes in the number 7 jersey. This is a $2 million 3-year signing, $650,000 a season. And as we keep pointing out, I heard the other day that South's injury crisis has now gone over $8 million. Over $8 million of South's talent has been out with injury, and they still are reluctant to pick somebody. You have $8 million out of $12 million on the sideline, and you're still reluctant to pick someone on $650,000? Are you kidding me? What's going on here?
Why did they sign him?
The CEO, Blake Solly, has got to take responsibility for this. This is the thing. People are hanging this on Wayne Bennett, but he wasn't there at the time that this signing was made.
Well, but he was signed last year, right?
The signing was done before Bennett got there.
Before Bennett got there, or before Bennett signed?
Before Bennett signed.
Oh, okay,
yes.
Yeah, okay.
But that's not to say that he didn't know about it, though, because he may have been consulted about it before he signed. But he is. I guess he's obviously playing up the fact that it wasn't my decision. I wasn't signed yet. But Blake Solly and the CEO, he's got to take some responsibility. As does football manager Mark Ellison, I would have thought.
Yeah, well, there's a few clubs that could use a half, but you don't know how good. He's last week I talked about, I got a little bit hammered about it, like on the internet, talked about how Lachlan Ilias's, I believe his reputation has been damaged and no one really knows if he's an actual proper first grade half because his last two clubs have had the same crap happen to him. And you'd have to say that's the same with Lewis Dodd. Like, you don't actually know if he's any good. Nobody really knows.
Yeah, well, you don't know because he hasn't been given an opportunity. Yeah. He's only had 6 games and only one of them he played 68 minutes at halfback.
Yeah, which is his spot. He's not a 5'8", he's a halfback. And so that's the thing, right? You don't actually know if he's any good. He's just been so poorly treated by Wayne Bennett. And
yeah. Sorry, you go.
Some club could just sign him on a small contract. Like some club should just go and offer him like something like 200, right? 200 for 2 years plus Rabbitohs will kick in the 500 for this year, something like that, right? 200 a year for 2 years, but with an option at the end of next year to see how good you are. We can give you an upgrade, like that kind of thing, because he could be really good. You just don't know.
Well, this is the thing. He hasn't been given much of an opportunity. As I said, 68 minutes at halfback in one game. Had started 3 games off the bench and had 2 games at 5'8". So only that one game at halfback, 68 minutes. I've just gone back and had a look at this. So South announced the signing of Lewis Dodd on the 5th of May 2024 in a media release to that 3-year deal. Wayne Bennett's signing as Rabbitohs coach happened on the 21st of May 2024.
Oh, he definitely knew.
So Wayne Bennett was the announcement of Wayne Bennett's signing as Rabbitohs coach came just over 2 weeks after the announcement of Lewis Dodd's signing.
Yeah, well, has he been playing?
So Wayne Bennett will latch onto that and say, I had nothing to do with it.
Yeah, that's bullcrap. Has he been playing in New South Wales Cup?
Well, yeah, I'd say he would have been. Yeah, he would have been. When he wasn't in first grade, he would have been in New South Wales Cup. But just the 6 games in the NRL this season for Lewis Dodd.
Checked a couple of games. It doesn't actually look like he's even playing.
They might have been the games where he's in the NRL because he's been in the NRL. He's been in the NRL the last few games. Round 22, round 21, round 20, he was in the NRL. So you probably have to go back a fair way to find him in a New South Wales Cup team list, though.
Okay, here we go. I'm going back to 4th of July. I'm just very curious. Oh, yeah, there he is.
Yeah.
And, well, okay, Rabbitohs are last on the New South Wales Cup ladder as well. By the way, they're getting smashed. Get this. Their negative is 676.
Jeez, they're not in a good spot at the moment, are they?
No. They're getting like fully smashed every week in, week out. And he's been
last in the NRL, last in New South Wales Cup with a terrible differential. They got the worst differential in the NRL as well, of minus 197.
Like they just get beat. They get 40 points scored on them in every single match and everything. So he's been playing 5'8" in the New South Wales Cup as well. I don't know, man. But yeah, I just think that he might be worth the risk. But you don't know.
I mean, if you're going to get him, minimum wage.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's the thing. 130 grand. Yeah, all right. South pick up the rest of the time.
Chuck him on for the first year, and then
first grader.
Potential upgrade for the next year, like extension in club's favour for the next year. If you're any good, bring him over, see how good he is. All right, if he's not good, let him know halfway through the year, bro. There's no extension here.
Well, Souths are going to have to pick up the tab for next year and the year after. So good luck with that. Yeah. Good luck with sorting that salary cap mess out of paying somebody to be playing for another club.
Yeah, poor guy. I just feel really sorry for.
I feel sorry for him.
Yeah.
Because if someone comes along and offers you that money, well, of course you're going to take it.
Yeah.
You can't blame him. Of course he was going to take that money. But unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out for him.
I just think it's really bad for his reputation, Like
that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, because if he hadn't signed this deal, let's say he stayed in the Super League, he would have still had a really good, a good career in the Super League, So that's the thing. He's done this for the money, obviously. Who wouldn't? $650,000 a year.
Yeah.
But it's come at a cost, and that cost has been to his reputation because, well, now he'll just be known as the guy who didn't make it in the NRL.
Who's that other guy that went to New Zealand that was the same? Sam Tompkins. He was the other guy that came to and then went back to the Super League and carved it up there.
It's interesting. Braithen Astor was saying on NRL 360 that the people he'd spoken to sort of in and around the Super League and in and around the NRL, like the recruitment scouts, they could have named at least 4 or 5 others in the other halves in the Super League who would have been a better candidate for coming to the NRL than Lewis Dodd. So, and Braithen Astor actually described it as his line was like it was one of the most one of the greatest recruitment blunders in NRL history.
I think so.
So, yeah.
I just feel so sorry for the poor guy.
Because,
he's only 23 years old, and he could have hung around in the Super League and like built his career up and been really good, right?
That's the thing. He would have been better. The thing is, he'll make a fair bit of money out of this, but he would have been better off staying in the Super League.
Yeah.
All right, he would have been on less money, but sometimes it's not all about the money. You don't want people sort of mocking you, laughing at you, saying you're not good enough. You want a bit of self-respect, and if that means taking less money to stay in the Super League and go well in the Super League, well, I think overall you're better off because, unfortunately it's done some damage to his reputation here.
Over to the Bulldogs, Lachlan Galvin, speaking of halves.
Yeah.
So Lachlan Galvin is in doubt, or maybe not, according to Phil Gould. You couldn't actually get any possible information. And Toby Sexton's been named in the extended squad, number 23. Meanwhile, they're playing some silly buggers over here. They have named another half.
Yeah, so Mitchell Woods, a 19-year-old's been named in the extended squad. Now, this is very mysterious because, you just assume, all right, well, if Galvin's out injured, well, Toby Sexton comes back in. But they've named this 19-year-old on the extended bench as well. So I don't like this treatment of Toby Sexton. Yet again, they're not treating him with enough respect. There's no way that they're going to put Mitchell Woods... Are they kidding us here? There's no way they're going to put Mitchell Woods in above Toby Sexton at this time of the year. There's only 5 games to go before the finals, and then there's a final series. You're not going to debut a 19-year-old under these circumstances. The only way the 19-year-old Mitchell Woods would get a start now would be if they got a heap of injuries. If there's no injuries, well, then obviously Sexton's going to come in instead of Galvin if Galvin's out injured. But why would you play with Sexton's head like this and name Mitchell Woods on the extended bench as well?
Naming him earlier in the lineup as well, because, I know the numbers don't mean anything, but the numbers kind of do insinuate. Because most clubs, they name 1 to 23 and then they drop 23, 22, 21 and 19.
Yeah.
Toby Sexton has been named at 23.
Yeah.
And Mitchell Wood's been named... Well, Bulldogs don't have an 18. Toby Sexton's been named at 24. And, is it 24? Yeah, 24. And, 23, sorry. And Mitchell Woods has been actually named at 19, 18. Right.
What are they playing at here?
It's pretty bizarre.
Who are they trying to fool here? We know that if Galvin doesn't play, it'll be Toby Sexton in the starting team. What messages are they? Why are they playing with Toby Sexton's head like this? By picking a 19-year-old half in the extended squad as well. It's just. And again, with Lachlan Galvin, I think I said it last week, he's the Donald Trump of the NRL. First it was, he's causing a disruption, they don't know where they're going to put him. Then they finally work out, all right, we're going to put him at halfback. And then, he's playing against his old club this week. And then, now he's gotten injured. And now we're going in this Toby Sexton, Lachlan Galvin, semicircle all over again.
Yeah, well, we were hoping for one more, like after this week, next week, hopefully there's no Lachlan Galvin stories, but it doesn't look like it. Because, if Lachlan Galvin plays now that they've done this thing with Toby Sexton, if Lachlan Galvin plays this week, we have a story. They did mess with Toby Sexton and put him in the extended. If he doesn't play and they end up playing Toby Sexton, it'll be like, why did they do that for Lachlan Galvin? Like, there's just whatever the Bulldogs do right now around that half position, they're just creating this extended Lachlan Galvin. Is that what they're trying to do, though? Get everyone to talk about the Bulldogs halves?
It's just... They've not shown enough. They've not shown enough respect to Toby Sexton here.
Right, but they're a family club.
And this is the thing. What if Sexton absolutely? Because again, Galvin was off on the weekend. This is the thing. He played well the week before against Manly, but he was off against the Tigers. And now, what happens if Sexton comes back and? Let's say Galvin's out for a couple of weeks with these hand and ankle injuries he's got. What happens if Sexton comes back and absolutely brains it and wins man of the match for 2 games?
They're playing the Warriors on Saturday. It's going to be raining.
Well, that's not good. That's not good at all, given their wet weather record.
And what if Galvin is out for an extended period and Bulldogs end up winning the premiership with Sexton at halfback? That would be the most funniest thing in the entire history of the world.
You'd want to see it happen, right?
Yeah, I fully would. Like that's like a movie. You know, that's just like a movie plot. Yeah. Like it's Toby Sexton is the new Happy Gilmore. Just it would be so funny. Like Toby Sexton ends up winning the premiership with the Dogs while Lachlan Galvin is off injured. This
Galvin, his fitness is under a cloud. This hand injury is going to be a bit of an issue for him. He might try and play with it. I saw one report that he might try and get painkillers for the hand injury. You still got to catch and pass and tackle, and it's quite awkward.
Your hand is very important in rugby league, and especially if you're touching the ball as much as the Bulldogs halves do. But
he's been shown terrible disrespect throughout this whole ordeal.
I'm curious.
And they continue to show him complete disrespect.
Well, 7:35 p.m. on Friday, we'll know who the actual cover half is because they'll have to drop down to 19 men. Right? So they won't drop.
So they're not going to keep both of them in there.
Yeah, wouldn't that be weird if they did? If that was their last two, Mitchell Woods and Toby. This is the thing. Like, it's all just a comedy now. To me, like the Bulldogs and their halves things is just Twitter. I open it and read a Bulldog story just to giggle to myself for half an hour.
Yeah.
Like when I'm feeling down, I just remember the Lachlan Galvin situation. Like.
This is the thing, like with Donald Trump, if it's not the Jeffrey Epstein scandal, it's him falling out with Elon Musk. If it's not him falling out with Elon Musk, it's him bombing Iran. With Lachlan Galvin, it's, if he's not disrupting the whole fabric of the team, then he's got to play against his old club and they all hate him. And then the next week he's getting injured and now Sexton might be back in the side. And it's just all swings and roundabouts.
Last week we said Reece Walsh is turning into the new Latrell Mitchell. But it actually might be Lachlan Galvin already is the new Latrell Mitchell because Latrell Mitchell hasn't had any news articles this year, but Lachlan Galvin sure has. Last year it was every week was a Latrell Mitchell, something about Latrell Mitchell. This year it's every week is something about Lachlan Galvin. It's something needs to break to end the news cycle on Lachlan Galvin, and this is not the way to do it because. Seriously, we discussed it last week. We thought, okay, we've got Lachlan Galvin up against his old club. So we're going to have one more week of news because whatever the outcome, there's going to be a news. Now, we have the one more week of news, but it isn't about the game. But maybe that's also what they're doing, trying to distract everyone from the fact that the Bulldogs got beat up by the Tigers and distract from that so they're making it about this weird halves situation. It's just...
And then there was this, this embrace that Galvin and Luai had after the game, which a lot of people think
so adorable.
People think it was just a PR hug for the cameras.
I don't think they could have organised that. I don't think anyone in the rugby league is sophisticated enough to be able to organise that, especially given that those guys like Jerome Luai especially can't keep his mouth shut. So he would have told everyone, the club's telling me I've got to go give Lockie a hug after the game, and then it would have come out on a Twitch stream. I just don't think they're sophisticated.
Phil Rothfield was saying he reckons that they just looked and saw there was a television camera there and then thought, oh, yeah, let's have a hug.
I don't think Lachlan Galvin and Jerome Luai are sophisticated enough to do that, and I don't think it's possible for the clubs to have organised something like that. I saw that, but you got to really think like that. Like, Jerome Luai would not have been able to keep his mouth shut saying it to his friends in the club if the clubs had organised it. And I just don't think Jerome Luai and Lachlan Galvin are sophisticated enough to go, let's put on a show. You know, like, hey, brother, let's put on a show for the cameras and make everyone think that we're all peachy. Because why would they?
It might have just been, oh, look, game over, give you a hug, and then we'll move
that's
on.
it. No thought. I just think there was no thought, and it's just coincidence. Like, I just don't think that any of them are sophisticated enough to manage something that complex,
not.
you know. But the Bulldogs did get pumped by the Tigers.
Yes.
I like one of the messages I got was outcome of the game. Does Lachlan Galvin suck? Yes. Do the West Tigers want him back? No. But the Bulldogs just can't win if it's raining.
Yeah, this is a problem. So this is the third time this year that they've lost in the wet. They had that heavy loss to the Broncos in round 8. That was up in Brisbane, 42-18. They lost in a wet weather game. Remember that round 12 game they had against the Dolphins? Obviously had a lot of players out, but they did lose 44-8 in the wet weather there. And yeah, round 22 against the Tigers, lost 28-14 in the wet weather. And I think I was watching the game pretty closely. I think the wet weather really stifles their attack. They don't know how to attack in the wet weather. They try and play dry weather attacking football in the wet weather, and it just doesn't work for them.
I think that was like something that I noticed too, because like we've talked about it a lot, like Toby Sexton's stats aren't that good. It's because they do a lot of passing. You know, like the Toby Sexton doesn't have a lot of try assists, but he has a lot of try assists. Doesn't have a lot of line break assists, but he has a lot of line break assists. Because they do a lot of passing, and they're just trying to do that all the time, and you can't do it in the wet. The thing with those rugby league balls is when they're super wet, it's not as slippery. When they're zero wet, it's not slippery. When they're a little bit wet, they're really, really, really slippery, and it goes from zero slippery to really, really, really slippery to a steady downwardsness of slipperiness. But then also the jerseys, when they're wet, they become super slippery, so it screws up the defence, right? So you can't be knocking the ball on because it's slippery and then not being able to defend. And Bulldogs do miss a lot of tackles. They generally cover them, like we discussed that at length before, like the other players will cover them. But it's just this compounding thing of throwing the ball too much and giving up errors in the wrong times, and then they aren't able to defend it. And the Tigers were able to capitalise pretty hardcore.
I just think they've got to in the wet with your attack. You just got to really simplify. You got to look at players like Viliame Kikau and go, we just need him to run off like a Reed Marnie or something like that, a short ball, and just charge
isolate defender.
Isolate the worst defender, get Kikau running off a Reed Marnie short ball. Yeah. You really just got to simplify the attack.
It's all one out passing, no offloads.
But you'd think that they would realise that.
But
they just haven't.
You know what they need?
Lost 3 games in the wet.
They need trainers to stay on the field for longer and tell them go to the Panthers.
Isn't it funny? And it's not just their attack; their defence is terrible in the wet as well.
Exactly.
42 points against Brisbane, 44 against the Dolphins, 28 against the Tigers. Points conceded in 3 games. Again, this is still, even after that loss, still the best defensive team in the comp.
Because you can't be dropping the ball and missing a lot of tackles. Because your missed tackles compound in the wet. Right? So if you're dropping a lot of ball and missing a lot of tackles. The good news is the monthly forecast is after this week, every weekend is sunny.
Yeah.
So, they won't have any more.
Yeah, well, hopefully. But, I mean, they're not... it's not a foregone conclusion that they make the top 4 yet. They got work to do to make the top 4.
Panthers will cheat their way to the top 4, I think. The trainers are helping them cheat their way to the top 4. So
You'd like to think that they still will make the top 4, but
I think they have enough points, to they're a little bit safe. They're 4.
This is the thing, they do have 5 points on the Panthers, and there are 5 games to go. So, you would like to think that they will finish above the Panthers.
I think Panthers can finish above them, but out of the rest of the teams in the top 8, the Broncos, Sharks and Dolphins, I can't see them catching the Bulldogs for the 4. But it could be that the Bulldogs end up 4th.
Yeah.
Because, they've dropped
some... So, you'd think the Bulldogs finish above the Warriors.
Yeah.
But I guess this game, this week, will be crucial. And if they win this game, then they will finich above the Warriors, no doubt about it.
But it is raining.
Oh, well, that's a good I'm worried about that.
Yeah, it is raining. They are heavy favourites, but it is raining.
They just need to get that win.
Yeah.
They just need a win. They need to get back on track after that loss to the Tigers.
Yeah, and during that loss to the Tigers, the Tigers players made an offensive Middle Eastern hand gesture. I'm not going to try and pronounce it because there are now currently heaps of cuts of all of the media people mispronouncing it. It's hilarious. This is the thing. I've seen so many TikToks of no one in rugby league can pronounce and the dude is like a Lebanese dude or whatever, or Middle Eastern guy pronounces it, and then it shows Braithen Astor. Just everyone mispronouncing radio 50 in a row. So pass. You're not catching me in one of those. But after scoring a try, it was three Tigers players, right? Jumped up and did their Middle Eastern offensive, which is kind of like the middle finger. Obviously targeting the, generally believed ethnicity of Bulldogs fans. And they've been sanctioned for it. There was a big outcry. You know what I think the worst thing about it is? I'll tell you, right? The worst thing about it is that the Bulldogs as a club complained.
Yeah, look, I'll just say... the West Tigers have been issued with a formal warning. Those 3 players, you mentioned 3 players, Samuela Fainu, Latu Fainu, and Brent Naden. Now, look, my biggest problem with it was Naden posting that video to social media afterwards and saying effing dogs, right? I think that was out of line. But in terms of what you were saying, in terms of the players hand gesturing back to the fans, and I'm a Bulldogs supporter, I don't care about that. My attitude is, the Bulldogs fans, and I'm one of them, they dish it out as good as anyone. Yeah. So if you dish it out, you got to be prepared to take what comes back sometimes. This is the thing,
right? There's an alternate camera angle that you can see from behind the 3 players as they're doing it, with all the Bulldogs fans, a bunch of them doing the same gesture, and a bunch of them giving the middle finger and screaming obscenities at the Tigers players, right? So Tigers players actually responded to it.
Yeah.
And nobody cared. The fans didn't care. Yeah. Okay, seriously. I saw on Bulldogs groups I'm in where they were laughing about it. Fans were laughing about it. They posted a bunch of I thought it was hilarious. Then the Bulldogs as a club, those whiny little dibber-dobbers, they complained. The Bulldogs club complained to the NRL. And look, all fans are like this, but I just find Bulldogs fans more than anything, their sentiment changes based on what the club tells them to have. So they really were laughing about it. There was so many memes and everything about it, about how hilarious it was. And then the Bulldogs club complained to the NRL, and the fans' sentiment changed. And it became this thing. It was how dare the Tigers fans do that? There's a lot of arguments about it. There's still a bunch of people that say, bro, nobody cares. Okay, but a bunch of fans swung that way, and it's so offensive, and they're role models, and they shouldn't be doing that.
This is people going out of their way to get outraged about something.
Exactly. That's the thing, right? There was no issue with it until the club created outrage, and Bulldogs, and actually sports fans in general, will follow their club for what they should be outraged about. And I read, some articles about how, actually, even before the game, Jacob Carraz, when they were warming up, did it to one of the other players, because depending which Middle Eastern person you're talking to, it ranges from a little bit of friendly banter between friends to highly offensive kind of thing. And that Jean-Claude Bittard guy that I've talked about before, we actually had someone comment justice for Jean-Claude Bittard, the guy that got banned from All Dragons socials. He does it every week in his videos about the Dragons when he's so worked up and angry about Shane Flanagan constantly picking Kyle Flanagan. He does this thing, like the same thing. And so if fans are going to do stuff like that, you can't then turn around and say it's so offensive, blah, 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 blah. I found it just as offensive or hilarious as when Michael Ennis did the Viking clap back to Canberra. Yeah. Like, that's what it was to me. It was a funny bit of banter between the players and the fans.
Yeah, I just think it was... Yeah, I have... You know, there's two parts to it. Naden putting that social media video out
that is that.
Effing dogs. Yeah. But no, that's... You know, and... That was well and truly out of order. But the players just responding to the fans, giving it to them on the field with hand gestures, that, you know, I didn't care about that. That wasn't a big deal. Well, one thing that I'd like to say about that game was, and look, obviously the Tigers got their last laugh over Lachlan Galvin and everything, and that's all well and good and well done. But why don't they perform like that more often, the Tigers? That their fans will get really up and about when they beat the Bulldogs. Why doesn't this happen more often for them? Why don't their fans ask of their club, why isn't this happening more often? They get up to play and it's not just the Galvin thing, they get up to play the Bulldogs a lot because there's that rivalry. You know, they're two very heavily supported clubs in Sydney and they're not far away from each other either. But why don't the Tigers? Why aren't they doing this more often? They showed they've got the capability there. That was the best game they played all year.
Yeah.
You could see it in their eyes. They were up for the fight, and obviously the Galvin thing obviously had a lot to do with it. But they were up for it. Why aren't they up for it more often? Why doesn't this happen more often for the Tigers, not just against the Bulldogs every time?
Well. That's
a lot of time.
That's the coach's job, right? And you have to ask. But I mean, it's also a club culture problem. They have a bye this week, and that sucks for them. You know, because they now going to go into a rest when what they really want to be doing is carrying that emotional momentum into another game.
But
I would expect when they play the Sea Eagles next week, they just suck again.
Well, and this is the thing, like, from their point, obviously, you know, the loss was not good for the Bulldogs' top two chances at all. Not good at all for that. But if we're thinking about it from the Tigers' point of view for a second, that win doesn't mean anything because they're not going to make the 8. So that's a meaningless win. It doesn't mean anything. So that's the question that I would ask of the Tigers is, why don't you get up like that more often for games? Because when you do, you can put top 4 teams like that away like that.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? That's the club and the culture that needs to be fixed.
Yeah, 100%.
Just got to send a quick message anyway. That's it for rugby league.
Brenton Aiden got a breach notice. I've read somewhere that he was going to be fined, but they haven't announced the fine yet, I think.
Really? He's going to be fined? That's stupid. I don't think he should be fined. Honestly, to me, like I said, it was just Michael Ennis doing the Viking clap. Absolutely hilarious.
But more from his point of view, it's more that social media.
Yeah, the social media thing is like.
Again, I didn't care about the
gesture.
I didn't care about the gestures on the field. That's just heat of the moment. Didn't care about that. But the social media video afterwards, that's pretty ordinary. The NRL issued him a breach notice. The player will have 5 days to respond to the breach notice. So, there may be a fine coming his way, I think. But, you know.
Woke up this morning after 2 hard training sessions. Oh my God, I have so much washing, and boy, does it stink! But luckily, I have Gourami Cleaning Codes Gear Guard, Clear the Funk, proud sponsor of SmartB. I've tried all of the ones that are around, and they're the ones that I suggest. They leave my clothes after training smelling like nothing. They don't do this thing where they smell like chemicals or flowers, and they don't advertise themselves as being a washing powder replacement. Instead, you add 1 cupful to your laundry, and off you go. Head to GouramiCleaning.co and buy yours now. GearGuard is a proud sponsor of the SmartB Sports Update.
Over in the cricket,
yes,
it's been labelled as the greatest Test match in the history of the world. India managed to win the 5th test,
Yes.
making the series a draw.
Yes.
Which sucks for England, once again proving England has severe problems with world cricket. But they had to send a player out with a broken arm.
Yeah, Chris Wokes, yeah. Yeah, he had to go out because, you can't not go out in that situation. Coming in at number 11 when they don't need many runs. You can't...
They needed 17 runs to win.
Yeah, well, you can't really say, oh, sorry, guys, I can't come out here. I think it was a dislocated shoulder for Chris Wokes.
His arm was tucked underneath his shirt. He only had one arm. He didn't bat, but it was still pretty amazing. And then, they needed, I think it was 17 runs to win.
And they ended up losing by 6 runs.
Yeah.
Look, well done to India. A great effort. And England, we should point out, England were bowled out for 367. Again, India won by 6 runs. But England was 3 for 301 at one stage and lost from that position.
Yeah. They've got real problems.
If England are 3 for 301, in that position, they've got to get it done from that position.
Yeah.
So they were chasing. They lost by 6 runs. So the target was 374. They're 3 for 301 at home, chasing 374, and they don't get it done. That's real problems. And they drew that 5-test series 2-2. And I think if England can't beat India at home, then I don't think they're going to beat Australia away.
No, they've got real problems across all of their cricket. England is no longer a power. What sport is England a powerhouse in anymore?
Yeah, well, certainly not cricket. They lost their last 7 wickets for 66 runs. The collapse was prompted by Harry Brooks' reckless dismissal after he'd made a century. So, really disappointing. And that finished on Monday night, our time. It was a cliffhanging finish, that one.
Got a couple of messages in the middle of the night. So
Mohammad Siraj was on fire for India, took the last 4 wickets in less than an hour.
I think England's in just trouble across the board with all sports. Like they're ranked fourth in football right now, but in rugby they're no good. In cricket they're no good. In rugby league they still refer to them as one of those A tier teams or whatever, but they're not an A tier team in rugby league anymore. They don't win anything in rugby league. They don't even come close.
I am still worried about Australia's batting for the Ashes, though, I have to say. Look, I think the bowlers will given that England aren't beating India at home, I think the bowlers will probably get us home. Get us over the line.
I think so.
But our batting, I'm worried about our batting in the summer.
Yeah.
In that Ashes series.
I wonder how it's going to go it's in Australia, yeah? In Australia. Australia's had some pretty shocking batting performances in test matches for the past year and a half, really, with just individuals going quite well, but just overall the form's been bad. But you would hope in Australia maybe they can put on a show. Yeah,
you'd hope so. You'd hope that the likes of, Usman Khawaja can come good out here. They're going to be relying heavily on Steve Smith and Travis Head, I think, Australia. But, you got this issue with the opener. I mean, Sam Constas can't score a run opening, so that's an issue. Surely after the series he had against the West Indies, surely he's not going to be the opener. So they're going to have to find another opener. And, they'll have to pick one out of the Sheffield Shield games in the lead up to the first test.
They've only got T20s and ODIs.
Yeah, so they're going to have to pick them out of the Sheffield Shield because they don't have any other tests before then.
Yeah. And Novak Djokovic is on arrest for the Cincinnati Masters.
Yeah, he's not playing. Again. He's not playing Cincinnati. He's a 3-time Cincinnati Open champion. Which wouldn't be a surprise to anybody. If anything, the surprise is that he hasn't won it more often than that. So he hasn't played since Wimbledon, but he cited a non-medical reason. So it's a non-medical reason. I think he's probably just managing himself.
Yeah.
He's just picking his events.
When's the next major?
The US Open. It starts later this month.
Okay.
I believe, yeah. So he hasn't played since he reached the semis at Wimbledon. Novak Djokovic. I think his only match... Yeah, so hasn't played since Wimbledon, and before Wimbledon he didn't play since the French Open. So it's almost like he's just picking the majors now. French Open made the semis, lost to Yannick Sinner. Wimbledon made the semis, lost to Yannick Sinner. Unfortunately, I think everybody will be cheering. I'm cheering for Novak Djokovic against Yannick Sinner.
The only reason he loses to Yannick Sinner is because Yannick Sinner's on steroids. So that's the only reason. Like, there's no other reason at all. It's nothing to do with age, form, quality of opponent. It's all just to do with steroids. That's everyone now who ever loses to Yannick Sinner. So yeah, Novak Djokovic would have been playing Carlos Alcaraz in the final if Yannick Sinner wasn't on steroids.
Yeah, the main draw action begins August 24 at the US Open.
That's the one you can't watch. Yeah, like it's impossible to.
Well, the night matches are on at a good time because they're on in the morning here. Because it's like a 14-hour difference.
Oh, it's 2 years. So they start at like 9.
So say if you got a night match at 7 o'clock there, it's 9 o'clock in the morning here. So that's all right, but. So anyway, that starts August 24, the US Open. That's coming up. So yeah, he won his 100th tour level title at Geneva in May, Djokovic. Since then, he's only played the 2 majors, French Open, Wimbledon. Made the semis at both, but yes, unfortunately losing to you-know-who.
Yep, only because of drugs. Alrighty, that's it for the week. More Lachlan Galvin next week. It's the SmartB Lachlan Galvin Update Podcast. Don't forget to head to OptimumCBD.store for all your CBD needs and GaramiCleaning.co for all your gear guard needs. Play Smart Play. We do have the T20s and the ODIs on Smart Play. Squads will be confirmed 1 hour before when the bat flip happens 1 hour before, so you'll be able to build your Smart Play team and win real cash prizes. Compare the odds on Smart Odds so you can find out who the best bookmaker is. Quick tip, look for the outliers. When you start seeing a lot of odds changes, jump on the bookmakers that are slow to change and get your bets in that way. You can use Smart Odds to do that for all your sport. If you're interested in racing, you can just check market percentage and stuff. That stuff I don't understand. And don't forget to listen to the Backer Winner Racing Update Podcast for tips on horse racing around Australia. Cool. All right. See you next week, Dan. Have a wonderful weekend of hoping the Bulldogs can win in the rain.
Thanks, John. Yeah.
Who have the Dragons got this week?
Well, let's see who the Dragons have got.
The Sharks. Oh, that's right. I've tipped against them.
Yeah, so the local derby, Well, the Dragons will be hoping that they can back up that win they had over the Raiders, ending the Raiders' winning streak there.
I don't think so. There's one thing that Ricky Stewart can do. It's to break winning streaks, but the wrong way. The Dragons never beat the Raiders until Ricky Stewart became their coach. There was two winning streaks that had, like Raiders, like 16 years in Canberra, and their last 11 games or something. Broken as soon as Ricky Stewart became coach.
Well done to Kyle Flanagan. He kept himself off the podcast today by winning that game.
Yeah, well, he actually had a really good game too. So
he kicked well, didn't he?
Yeah. He had a really good game. So yeah. All right. See you next week, and bye everybody.
See you, John.